Hello and welcome back to the News from the Real World podcast. For part 2 of this discussion, I'm going to start off with a conversation about a post from Remodeler's Advantage, where Mark Harari has told us that there is one email mistake that he knows we are making, and it has to do with the out-of-office autoresponder. He thinks that this is a huge mischance for your business or your, just your work in general to not only let people know that you're out of the office, but promote your brand and make a great connection with your customers or clients. Mm-hmm. What did everyone think about this article?
It did not apply to me. I have never been out of the office. The doctor is always in. So I was like, this is completely ridiculous. He's really presumptuous. That's what I thought.
Well, I think it's written for more of a business class
Probably.
than we're used to, maybe.
And also,
although in the commercial world, it's definitely a thing.
Sure.
He seems to be pitching this idea that, it is a very important thing that you are able to go out of the office at some point.
Right.
Which I get.
Sure.
I find that very valuable. In our jobs as artists and freelance workers and stuff like that, it is a little bit different, where we always want to be at least somewhat reachable, I would say. But it's an intriguing idea. And certainly we will have, there's potential for us to have jobs where we do need an out-of-office reply of some kind.
Well, it related to another article that we didn't talk about because it didn't get that many hits last week, but saying when you go on vacation, you can't, just don't read your email. Right. Not only don't read, and actually the thing that I think he missed, personally, is that I don't think that you should, I hate the out-of-office reply that leaves it up to the client to, take the next step.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm out of the office. This guy's going to be taking care of my business. You can email him if you really want to. That, to me, the email that the client is sending should automatically go to somebody else who's handling my business, right, so that they can take the next step and keep the client in the loop. That, to me, is the number one thing that he didn't mention.
That's an intriguing idea. I would say most people would be uncomfortable with that because then every bit of mail goes through there, which is risky, I would say.
Yeah.
It depends, I guess, on the nature of
your
email
business.
account, your business account. It's like, is this my personal assistant in my fantasy world, or is this
wait, you don't have a personal
sees
assistant?
all your
We all have
several.
those. It's like part of being in CMU.
They're all dogs. they're all Boston Terriers.
I loved his idea about, just first of all making it so that it doesn't have the standard out-of-office reply thing, so that it's a little bit more customized and a little bit friendlier in some way, perhaps even funny. One thing that I thought was pretty brave of him was he created an email account that said, stop hanging out with your kids at yourcompaniesname.com or whatever. And he said, send it to this and I will get this email immediately. And he said, this actually really, worked well for him. I find that to be a little bit.
See, if I had to send an email to that, and I think about it from a different side. I mean, like my parents run a business and they have an email address for emergency emails that whether it goes to them or whoever's there when they're on vacation, they do real estate. So these people, they're emailing because their water at their home is out,
Right.
So it's like, I think of it from that way. And if I was a tenant and I was like, I don't have power and it's January in Virginia, I would not want to have to send an email to stop spending time with your kids. Right? That's awful. But I guess I can see how from some companies that would be funny.
Depends.
But if I was the person who had to actually send that email, I can't promise I would think it was as funny.
I wouldn't at all. Yeah, I would think that was a reason not to do business with them.
Right. I'd be like, maybe you're not.
Don't
a good
make
choice
me
for
feel like my problem isn't so important that you have to stop hanging out with your stupid kids.
I also think it should be up to the client to determine what is worthwhile to connect with your.
Sure. He said at one point he was like, make it clear that you will not be responding to this. I was like, maybe make it kind of clear that if it's important enough, you'll pay attention.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Maybe care about it.
So good idea. He takes it pretty far, which one might do in a blog post. But yeah.
I will say that the thing I took away from that was that I have never thought about making that message more warm and fuzzy.
Sure.
So they think that's fair.
Be a robot.
Yeah, it's sounding different and not just saying the same exact
I'm not
thing.
here.
And the subject line being the main part, I think.
Yeah.
Like having the subject line that doesn't just say out of office reply, that says something like more catchy or more.
I'm going to
branded.
mention this just because I got this email auto response this summer and I loved it. The theater company, Nature Theater of Oklahoma, the people that run that company, they have an autoresponder that says something to the extent of, last year we gave ourselves like a Christmas, a holiday treat or something like that, and we said we would only check email on like, these days of the week. Well, we love that so much that now we only check email one time a week. And, it sort of explained the story and told that little bit of information. And I loved that, and I was like, okay, well, good for them. They can, succeed in doing that.
You can do that?
Yeah, it's amazing to me that they can do that. But yeah, that they specified and it was personalized, and I found that interesting.
That was cool.
Let's talk about some duct tape.
So
Right.
there was an article showing a way that you can wrap duct tape so that it doesn't leave any residue. That awful moment where you're like, oh, it melted. I left it here
Somebody
too long.
stepped all over it, and
I
now
have
it's just gross.
Created a lovely demonstration here. So if you take your tape, you rip it in half, just a little bit down, and then you fold a little courtesy tabby on either side that you ripped, and then you fold that in half
Carefully.
very carefully.
Carefully.
This is I feel like Bill Nye right now. Not gonna lie. Then you have this beautiful Andrew. Thank you.
Bracelet for your
Bracelet.
best friend in the whole
Yeah.
world.
Best friend Andrew. And
Yeah.
you can fold the leftover sticky tabbies around the non-sticky duct tape that's left. Just move that around your
Freely
Is this stuff
moving.
your arm hair at all?
No sticking whatsoever. No sticking
Amazing.
whatsoever.
That's really
I do
beautiful.
find
Is it?
this really useful. That is pretty cool. I think we're spoiled here in the theater because we get gaff tape that is meant to not leave residue. But
Right.
at home, when I don't have gaff tape with me at all times, surprise.
I mean, this is only one of the many uses for this type of technology. You can make whole wallets out of this.
Can.
No.
Can and have.
iPhone cases I've seen
What?
out of duct tape. It's pretty
No way.
good. Pretty amazing.
Some could even
Hats.
hazard to say you could make a prom dress out of some duct tape like that.
Someone.
I bet Lady Gaga's done that.
I bet there's a scholarship for that.
Are we done talking about duct tape?
Yes,
I
please.
guess.
I would read the sticky side on that. Never mind.
Just to rip my hairs out.
That's a good idea.
Thank you, Abby. I'm going to cherish this.
You better.
Nice.
If you want me to decorate it, you let me know.
That is great. And now we're going to talk about this artist interested in plumbing. I'm just going to say that. This guy is awesome. He basically, oh no, I lied. I'll say
Alexander Melamede. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Melamede. Yeah, I lied. I'm gonna say a little bit more. His latest installation, I guess, features paintings sort of centered around plumbing, and he talks about how plumbing is the greatest invention of the modern era, and everyone thinks it's computers and it's plumbing because it washes all of your shit away, which, I can't argue with that. And he's also talking about art being a huge waste of time and resources, and that he thinks it should all be recycled and repurposed into other things like sheetrock, which I thought was kind of great.
Well, he calls it neo-senility,
Senility,
which is
yes.
an awesome phrase that he thinks that he says that he coined, which I believe, where art is forgetting stuff and imitating itself all the time,
Right.
And like regressing to its childhood, and then all of a sudden being pulled back into the now. And I love this guy. I think he's awesome. I love the fact that he's got this healing shrine in his apartment that you can come to and like pray at a full-size portrait of himself.
Yeah.
But he it's amazing. And then but then he freely admits that he's a false god.
Right. But if you want to worship me, go ahead.
Go ahead. I mean, why not?
There's a place kind of like that in Pittsburgh here. Called, I don't know if you guys have been to Randyland.
No.
There's a
Tell us
place.
about Randyland.
There's a joke to be made there.
There is.
I live there.
Yes.
There's a place in Pittsburgh called Randyland, and
Uh-huh.
Randy has been given his grandmother's old garden or some, I think, in the house,
Mhm.
and he has created this little maybe half a block of garden and these crazy paintings and really psychedelic painted doors and stuff like that. And it's just an open community place where you can come in. When I went there, Randy said, "This is a great place for a drum circle." That's what I did. I didn't know it. But now I do.
I'm surprised you didn't suggest nude sunbathing.
I know, right? I am
It's a
sure he'd be
great
fine
place
with that.
for
But he's very open about it, and he is super happy to tell you
Where
that
is this?
it is actually just around the corner from the mattress factory.
Okay.
Like, if you walk into the
On
mattress
it.
factory from the street, it is on the other end of that
Next
street.
time I go there, I'm
Great.
checking out
It is
Randyland.
Field
Work.
trip.
So back to Alexander though, what do we think about his paintings, his plumbing paintings? What is that? What do we think? He also deep fries photographs of Marcel Duchamp and Andy
that's
Warhol.
right.
Gotta love that. That's art.
That's what makes them better.
So it gets back to a discussion that we had a little bit last week about the hippo in the Thames. Maybe we didn't talk about it in this podcast, but I talked about it with many colleagues that week. Like, what is that? Like, some guy makes a huge hippo and floats it down the Thames in London. Is that art? I personally don't think so. I think it's like
What kind of
something
hippo?
else.
Is it like a blow-up hippo? Like the duck?
It's sort of like the duck,
Like the rubber duck?
but more homemade. My point being, there's this other thing that I think that's valuable, but it's not art. I call it whimsy. I think a lot of people call it something else. I don't know. Like, and his art really kind of, for me, runs this line between like art and whimsy. Like, he's obviously has this very sort of fresh and childlike view of what he's doing, and like he doesn't have any. He actually has anti-reverence towards it in a lot of ways, which is nice. Like, I enjoy that. But his paintings are still technically good. Like, he still has technique. He still has artistic qualities to it. So I really appreciated his point of view on what art is, which is not one thing, right?
It's intriguing to me that somebody who, like, the kind of representational painting he is doing, he would probably slam and say is trash and should be recycled.
Right.
And it's interesting that he still creates that.
Right.
To me.
Well, he has to, right? I mean, if he's still an artist, I think, and then maybe that's the definition. Like,
Right.
he has to be doing this. He doesn't. He even says, "I'd rather be a plumber,"
Yeah.
but he can't be. Like, this is what he has to do.
Well, and he talks
The
about that
tragedy.
too. All of those
Anyone can be
kids,
a
like,
plumber.
they're wasted, basically.
Bullshit.
It's tough work. But he's,
I know it's not easy. You
But
need
he's-
some training and
yeah.
stuff, but he can
Anybody-
do it.
Anybody could be a plumber. Very few people can be a good plumber.
That's probably true.
And maybe the same is true of art. Maybe
Mm.
that's the point. But he's talking about the creating as opposed to the artifacts. Like, we have all these artifacts lying around, and maybe those are beside the point now. I don't need these piles of your art, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good for you for expressing yourself, but now
Right.
it's trash. Which is interesting,
Right.
I thought. And also, he was talking about all of those kids, well, kids, but he was comparing it to religious people in the medieval era being wasted, able-bodied people going into the church, and that the same is happening with art. People have such reverence for art, and so here we go into our temple of art, and it's like you could
Yeah.
be doing something useful, and you're just making a bunch of
Yeah, it used to be that every good Catholic family wanted 3 sons. They wanted a doctor, a lawyer, and a priest, right? Like,
Yeah.
those are the 3 things that you needed in your family. And now it seems like you want like a marketing consultant, maybe a doctor still,
Yeah.
and an artist. Like, that's become our trifecta of.
A celebrity. Not a
Oh,
artist.
sorry.
Now you forgot the child prodigies
Right.
are.
Could be a Damien Hirst. You could be both. Some douchebag like that.
I don't know who Damien Hirst is.
Oh, he's the worst. Well, you can. Well,
I'll look him up.
He's
So
not
she's
nearly as
films.
obnoxious as Jeff Koons.
they're both pretty bad though. Damien Hirst hangs out with Bono, so like in giant
Bono
sunglasses.
is cool.
We're-
I'm just going to
This
throw
has
that
to
out
end.
We're
there.
getting
This
off
is
target
over.
there. We're getting off target there. So maybe
Bono
this is a good
is
time.
ending malaria. I mean, that's brilliant, right? Working with the Gates Foundation, like, that's
Right.
pretty impressive.
Okay.
I can't.
Thanks for joining us on that
And dude,
note.
that guy can sing.
Just
gotta
like
stop.
ending malaria, I think we
We
should
gotta
end this plague.
Love Bono.
Nice
Bono
to see
Vox,
you.
folks.
Thanks for watching. There's some really good sexist joke in there. The ring finger is the only useful finger on a woman.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I should cut mine off on like a feminist protest.
Holy that's an amazing idea.
I know.
Instead of at the
Yep.
wedding ceremony putting a ring on your ring finger,
Cutting
you
it
both
off?
cut it the off.
I'd have to really be wasted.
Just be like, I am never gonna be with anybody else.
Ah!
Physically, no
That
one
has
else
to
can put a ring on
It's
this
hard to
finger.
get just that one. You'd have to do it with a chisel.
Ew!
No, yeah.
Like, then you should have chopped it away.
Oh, you can get it. You can get it, right?